Maybe after 3 years of the experience of Peter with Jesus, Peter has not much understood the mission of Jesus. And Jesus is asking them two questions. After his teaching, preaching, doing a lot of miracles, after giving training his disciples, now he is asking the very, very important question. Now you go out and ask the people, who do you say that I am? Who do the people say that I am? And the disciples collected the answers from the people. Some said John the Baptist, some other said Elijah, and some others said one of the prophets. So these are the answers they got from the people, but these answers were not the correct ones. According to people's experience, they said, most of the time we think when we give the answer it is correct, but it is not correct. Now he is asking his own disciples, who do you say that I am? And on behalf of the disciples, Peter said, you are the Christ, the Son of living God. You are the Christ. Then Jesus said, please don't tell anyone. That means I have to continue some other work. I have to take up the responsibility. I have not completed my work, because if people would come to know that Jesus is the Christ, the Messiah, immediately they may come to him and they may stop his further work. So there was a great danger in his life before going to the Calvary. So Jesus knew all these things. And Jesus is telling in the second part of the gospel, the Son of Man will be handed over and rejected and put to death. On the third day he will rise again. He will be rejected by the chief priests, elders, and others. So now immediately Peter is telling, Lord, this should not happen to you. You should not be suffered. We should not suffer. You should not die. Then Jesus is rebuking him. Peter, you are Satan. Get behind me. So we see here, who was the first pope? Peter. Peter was the first pope, and he is known as the vicar of the church. So Jesus is telling the first pope, you are the Satan. So this is what sometime we need to get like this rebuke from God. Even Peter, the first disciple and the first pope, was called as a Satan. If I call you after 3 years of my stay here, you are Satan, how do you feel? I don't think you may come to this church. You may see my face anymore. You will go to some other church if I tell you Satan. But we see here, Jesus is telling Peter, you are a Satan. But Peter did not go away from Jesus. He was with Jesus. Always. So this is what we need to have: endurance, perseverance in our life following Jesus. As we follow Jesus, there may be a lot of problems, suffering or pain. We should not give up our faith. We should not give up our following Jesus in our life. Today, what we learn from this gospel is that our way to heaven is not an easy way. Our way to heaven is cross. So we have to go to heaven, or we have to follow Jesus with a lot of crosses, suffering, pain, persecutions. Then only we can reach to heaven. Even Jesus is following to the Calvary, taking up the cross. Today let us pray in this Mass that we may always follow Jesus. We may always go with Jesus. Thus we may experience God's loving presence in our life.